data definition language, or DDL. These commands are used to define and modify the schema or structure of a table. You'll commonly hear the word schema in terms of, or in the context of databases. Schema basically just means the entire structure of the database, but here we mean the structure of a table. Why is that important? These commands are used in the early stages of the creating a database system, and it is important to create a schema for a table because, as you might remember that I mentioned in the last lecture, each column of a table in structured data has a specific data type. For example, if this column 1 is name and the data type is text, then all the names in column 1 have to be of the type text. It cannot be that for the same column there are multiple different values or multiple different rows that have multiple different data types. The data is different, of course. One name can be Mike, the other name can be Jacob, but the data type has to be the same. Let's see now how the create table keyword is used. This is used to create a new table that does not exist in the database. It is important that it does not exist in the database because SQL will give you an error. Now, what is an error? We'll find out more about it when we actually take a look, but an error is when SQL tells you if your query is wrong, right? So if you try to create a table that already exists, say there is a table already exists called employee, and you said create table employee, SQL will tell you you're asking me to create a table, but a table of the same name already exists. So please give this table some different name, or delete the first table if you want to replace that table basically. But the syntax of create table looks something like this. Now when we say syntax, we mean the structure of how that keyword is used, right? So create table, table name, column 1 data type 1, column 2 data type 2, and this can go to n columns, how many ever columns we want to create. There's a comma separating each column data type combination if you observe, and it is enclosed in parentheses. It is also important to note that all SQL commands end with a semicolon. And the second command is drop table. This is used to remove an existing table from the database permanently. So use this command very carefully, of course, and if you say drop table table name, that table will be removed from the database. Let's actually see how this would work. I am using Postgres for my queries here. Now I would recommend using just Googling how to install Postgres on your system. It is a free tool that can be available to anybody, and it is pretty easy to install and set up. If there is a lot of difficulty, many people facing difficulty in installing Postgres, I can create a small tutorial or provide useful links for installing Postgres as well. But I believe this is the easiest tool to use for just practicing SQL and getting started with it. So I think this is a great place to begin with. So PostgreSQL is the database that I'm using, and pgadmin 4 is just Postgres admin, or the tool that is used to write queries in Postgres, right? So let us begin by writing some queries now. What did we say we want to write? We want to create a table, right? So let's say create table student. We had parentheses. Now let's I'll explain, by the way, in a minute what these queries are for, but before I do that, I'll just start by doing this, and let's remove this second query for now. So create table student, right? How do we create a table? We have to say column 1 data type 1, right? So let's say student ID is a string, right? It has to be text value. I don't know if it can be maybe just numbers as well, but let's call student ID text, a text field. and the text field in Postgres is varchar. Now, why is it important to name it varchar? Why can't we call it string? Because each database has a different way of calling text data text data. Varchar just means variable character. That is just the important thing to know here. And why does it call it? Why is it named variable character? It basically means that the text can be of any length. So because a character is like one letter, say S, X, Y, whatever. So the characters can vary in length based on whatever the word is. Like one name can be 4 letters, like again, say Mike, and then another name can be a very large name, like let's say Alexander, right? So we can't define the length of the characters. That is why it's varchar. Same thing, let's do with name. Name varchar, right? Third thing, let's say grade, right? Grade is a number, right? An integer. It can be it has to be a whole number. You can't be in like grade 1.5 or something like that. You are in either 7th grade or 8th grade. It has to be integers mostly. So let's call it that, integer, right? So these will be numbers essentially, and end with a semicolon like we had discussed before. Now, when you want to run one query at a time in Postgres, you just highlight that query and hit the play button that you see on top. It says syntax error near name, right? What's the error here? What did we miss out here? The commas. We had mentioned, if you remember, that each column data type combination has to be separated by commas. And because we didn't enter those commas there, SQL did not understand what we were trying to do. Hence, we need to put commas over here. It says syntax error. It says, why are you giving me another column name after like a data type? It found it weird. So now we can do this after adding the commas. It says query returned successfully in 120 milliseconds. So it took only 120 milliseconds to run this, and the query returned successfully, which means this table is now created. Now we'll see why this particular query is useful. This query is just for limited to Postgres, and this query gives us the information about the table. So information schema gives us information about the table. So just copy this query for now, and whatever you are naming your table, if it's just student, write student in lowercase over here. If you notice, this is lowercase because in Postgres by default, whatever you name your table, it saves it off as lowercase in its information. So just select this part of the query and run it. It gives us the table name student, and the column names are grade, like we said here, which is an integer, and student ID and name, which say character varying. So that is really cool. We have actually now created the table. Now, what will happen? Didn't I tell you that if you try to create an existing table, it might go a little wrong? So what will happen if I try to create this table? It says relation student already exists. If you remember in the last lecture I had mentioned that table and relation are often words that are used interchangeably, right? So the relation student already exists. Now the second command we learned was drop table student. Just note that so far we have not added any data in student, right? We have not inserted any rows in student. So let's just drop the table. Let's just see what that does, right? Drop table, query returned successfully. Now if we try to see the information for table student, let's see what SQL tells us. It gives us an just empty, it's just nothing. It's just table name, column name, data type, and it's blank because this table doesn't exist anymore, right? Now we just create the table again, it returns successfully, and then when we run this, we will see the information for this table. Now let's see how alter command works. let's move on to this next part of the DDL, which is alter table. This keyword is used to make changes in the schema of an existing table, right? We'll look at the most common uses of the alter table statement in these examples. The first way we can use alter is add column. So we have defined a schema, right? Like here we can see that we have defined 3 columns in this table, but now we want to look at we want to add a column to this table, right? So it says alter table, table name, and add column, new column name, new column data type. So it's pretty simple. So alter table is common among all these 3, just remember that. The second row or second line is just a little different. So we are saying add a column, we're just saying what this new column's name is going to be, and we're just telling the database what the new column's data type is going to be. How does rename column work now? We are again saying alter table, table name. We're saying rename column, column name, the existing column name, to the new name that we want to give to this column, if that makes sense. So this is an existing column that we're trying to change just the name for, right? So rename column, alter column. Now alter table is one thing, but now we are altering the column. What is the difference between rename column and alter column? The difference is that in alter column, we are trying to change the data type of an existing column in the table. So the column name for that column remains the same, just that we are redefining its data type. Now, let's do this for an example of student that we are using here, right? So we have this table with this information now, and now let's say alter table student, add column, attendance integer, right? So we are adding a new column which is named, which has the name attendance, and which is an integer in this table, right? So let's do that. Let's run this section. It says successful. How can we check? Again, run this query for getting the table structure. There you go. We have a new column in here called attendance, and the data type here is integer. Pretty cool. Now let's rename the column, right? For attendance, it doesn't make sense for it to be an integer really. Like that was kind of a mistake, it seems like. So let's rename the column because attendance would always be in percentage, right? It can't be just a number usually. So you want to rename the column and call it, which column do you want to rename? Attendance. What do we want to rename it to? Attendance percentage. So attendance underscore perk is the new name that we are giving to this column. Let's run this. Query returned successfully. Okay, so that was successful apparently. So the name attendance should now be attendance perk. There we go. It is in fact attendance perk now. Now let's say alter table student, alter column, attendance, and now keep in mind, now the name is no more attendance, the name is now attendance perk. So we need to make sure that we are giving it the right name. Alter table student, alter column, attendance perk. What do we want to alter? What do we want to do with it? Like I said, it doesn't make sense that attendance is an integer. So attendance percentage will always be in decimal points. And what was the decimal point data structure that we discussed in the last lecture? It's float. So we are saying set data type float. There we go. So we are redefining the type of attendance percentage here. So it said integer over here, right? Let's run this. It returned successfully. Now let's run this one again. There we go. It says double precision now. Double precision is just SQL's technical way of saying float or decimal point numbers. So just make sure that it's either double, it's not basically integer. So double precision means we changed the data type successfully to float. So those were the DDL commands. In the next lecture, we will be covering the DML commands in a similar manner in detail. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so yet, and drop a like if you like this video. Comment and let me know what all questions you have, any suggestions for future videos, and so on. See you in the next lecture. Thank you.